Greetings! Welcome to the Devlog for hot dogs, horseshoes, and hand grenades. We're going to be doing something a little different this week as I have been working on the Sosig AI and I'm not quite ready to push another alpha yet. I have torn out too many wires on various systems and broken them, but I thought I would do a bit of an in Unity editor deep dive into basically what I've gotten working this past week and the sort of improvements in the Sosig tactical combat behavior that I'm super happy with. So to start off with, let's talk about what's sort of lacking with the Sosigs currently that I know a lot of you have mentioned in the past. They don't use cover very well at all, and more specifically, they don't really time their behavior in relationship to moving very intelligently. They'll oftentimes pick a new place to stand in the middle of firing at a good target, or in the middle of reloading their firearm, which isn't very intelligent. They bum rush way too much, and they don't have very many sort of poses. They don't sort of utilize the cover that they do manage to find super well. And so this new system is designed to deal with those problems. In a sense, it can all be sort of boiled down to thinking about the Sosigs making more intelligent decisions on where to stand and also picking when to do that better. So let's jump into the Unity editor and take a look at what that system looks like and then watch some Sosigs fight using it. So the data set that has been added to this scene and will eventually be migrated to other scenes is this set of what are called cover points. And what cover points are a sort of abstraction of the environment that the Sosigs can use to make better decisions on where to stand and to make those decisions very, very fast. Arguably, almost every problem as it relates to game AI isn't one of thinking better, it's about thinking faster. Being able to do a lot of very, very fast comparisons and evaluations, usually based on pre-computed data, super fast. You might have 100 doing it and doing it very frequently. So the way these points work is at edit time in my scene, I essentially send out these rays in all directions in a circle, in sort of groups at 45 degrees, sort of arcs, and ask how far away is the nearest sort of obstruction, and what is the average distance of obstructions in that direction. And you can see that being visualized here, that this is shorter here, this is further here. And I do this at 3 heights. At eye height, at sort of crouched eye height or standing hip firing, which you can see due to this partial cover here is significantly shorter. And then at prone height. And because you can see sort of like here it is with eye height, the delta between these, the fact that it's long here and short here, means that this point from basically that 90 degrees is great partial cover for an agent. And those averages are essentially stored in a one-dimensional array, which makes them very, very fast to access. So I can easily, if say I have an agent in a place and that agent is like, where should I stand? It can gather up a bunch of points around it and then go, okay, my target's in that direction. It sort of snaps that direction to the nearest 45-degree increment and then looks up the values for all of those different points, finds the ones that would have line of sight to that point, give or take, it's fuzzy, and then adds other sorts of criterion to those points to make an evaluation of where it should stand. Things like, how far away is this point from the enemy? Is this point to the side or is it in front? Like, is this a good flanking point relative to the forward direction of my target? What weapon do I have in my hand? And as such, what is the distance that I want to engage the target? You sort of accrue all of those sort of evaluations to your group of 20 or 30 or 50 points, and then whichever one scores the highest, you're like, well, I'm going to stand there. This system is based off of what the Killzone devs use, or at least did in Killzone 2. That was the paper that I found. Fantastic tactical shooter AI in that game. And I'm very much working with a sort of simplified version of how their system functioned. And it comes with a number of other really great advantages, which is that I can tag points eventually with other sorts of information. Like if this is a good place to reload, I can temporarily make points valid or invalid sort of situationally, whether or not I want to have some sort of hazard. So they can be a place that other data that AI can utilize very, very rapidly can reside. And in addition to that, Sosigs can claim a point, so other ones won't try to stand at that exact place, and so we should get a lot less of like a group of 3 Sosigs are kind of pressing against each other trying to fight, and 2 of them can't even bring their weapons up. They should give each other a little more space appropriately. So yeah, so let's hit play on this and let's watch them fight to see some of it. And you're just gonna see some other new behavior as well. All right. Here they come. Hopefully we don't get melee ones right out of the gate. Team Red sent one up with a knife first. Well, let's just watch this zoomed out at first. And notice, every time you see a point go red, that means that a Sosig has claimed that cover point. And then that cover point is sort of automatically freed up if they get stunned or knocked over, or they shift out of the sort of skirmishing state. You should notice right off the bat that they are utilizing cover differently. These 2 are staying just emergently way further back because that just happens to be the most intelligent thing for them to do based upon where their given targets are. You get Sosigs that disengage to try to get more cover way more frequently, and really only advance to take cover when it makes more sense. Oh, he's gonna get janked! Oh no! Oh! Mr. Scout must have gotten caught reloading there. Here, let me pause this momentarily because we've got 2 other new behaviors that we can see happening with this Sosig here. For one, he's gotten down super low, and this is because he's currently reloading his weapon. Especially when in cover, Sosigs try to actually get down lower, get better cover when they're not actually able to deliver damage because they're in the middle of reloading. In addition to that, you can see it's holding its weapon in a different posture. I have rebuilt a system that the Mark II Wiener bots had that I quite liked, which is basically that there's a whole array of postures that a Sosig can hold a firearm in based on which hand it's in. There's a sort of set related to sort of center line aiming where they can come up here like this or hold it down lower, and they can do the same thing hip firing. And the system is essentially always doing this cycle of raycasts between those points to know which one is valid and which ones are invalid at any given moment, and then it can swap between them. And just to make it a little cooler, as well as to help with some collision issues, when they bring their firearm up higher, they don't hold it like this, they actually hold it like this. So they'll just, if they're put like this fellow here, with his Mac 10, as the weapon raises up, it actually tilts a bit, which both actually helps them shoot better, but also just makes them feel a little more alive. Let's hide our cover points and watch them shoot a little more. Oof, poorly timed charge there, guys. may not realize. Oh, there we go. Sometimes they're a little daffy in terms of not realizing that an enemy is right next to them because they've been deafened by the sound of gunfire. I'm still working on that. So yeah, but all put together, these sorts of changes have already resulted in what I find to be way more of a pitched battle, and frankly put a way more enjoyable set of behaviors for folks who like to slowly sort of advance a bit, peek and shoot, and just be. It's a little less of a swirling melee, and a little more feels a little more like you're actually advancing with intention, and that they're doing the same thing. Except for the melee ones, they're still brick stupid, but I'm working on that. Wonderful. I could watch that all day. So yeah, so that's what I have been working on. The stuff that's still to come is a whole bunch more sort of performance optimizations, some of them dynamic. Obviously, this system needs to work really well in a dense indoor scene that's going to be very, very cover dense, but also needs to work in sort of medium density scenes like the Kappa Coliseum, where there's cover, but it's a much larger surface area, as well as stuff like the Rotwiener scenes that's like a kilometer by a kilometer. So I need to author a system that detects point density locally to the bot in a really in a reactive way, and then tunes the search distance and how many sort of nodes it's gathering and comparing at any given time. I need to improve. I'm writing a completely separate parallel system for the melee, because that shouldn't really be based on cover points the same way. So, or rather, it should switch between trying to find cover and then actually sticking with a single target as much as possible, instead of the current situation with a lot of the especially team versus team Sosig melee is just terrible at the moment, because they're constantly picking new targets so rapidly that they end up just like dancing around each other instead of fighting. So that's something that I intend to improve. So that just about does it. So I hope you all found this interesting and informative and not too boring. And I will have another alpha for you folks next week with this cover point system rolled out to. My goal is to have it for the Proving Ground here and the Kappa Coliseum. That with the number of game modes in the Kappa Coliseum, I imagine that should be a wide enough range of sort of combat contexts that I can get feedback from you folks about how that's all working. So yeah, I wish you the best and hope you all have a wonderful weekend. Peace.